Hello and welcome to our report card for the Duo. If you haven't seen one of these before, basically what I do is go back and revisit a ball that's been out for a few months to check in, see how popular it's been, see if I got it right in the review, and report on how much we've used it and what it's best at. Also, since it is a report card, I will actually be giving out grades, or a rating rather, using the new Kool-Aid meter. The staffers always robe up and pass the cups out for every new release, but are they still drinking it a few months down the road? Before we get started, big shout out and thanks as always to Royal Crest Lanes. They're a big part of bringing these videos to you. All it takes is a text and we have everything we need. Also, my code Rosdahl10 will get you 10% off your order at checkout at CoolWick, and if you check the description, you'll find a bunch of helpful links and information, including our personal specs, a discount code for custom ball cups and spinners through Scarred Prints, even a discount for a new affiliation with Free Spirits, which features non-alcoholic replacements for things like whiskey, tequila, and gin, for those looking or needing to cut back on and or quit drinking, and finally a link to buy a Duo at Bowler's Mart. I do receive a 5% commission on all sales through the link. We're on the Kegel Chromium lane condition as usual. It's a challenge pattern at just under a 7-to-1 ratio, 42 feet long, 25.5 mils, heavy side of medium for both volume and length. Not as easy as a house shot, but not as punishing as a sport pattern. The Duo is a strong symmetric ball in Roto's HP3 line. It features the same Microtrax pearl cover that's on the Exotic gem, and the new Mentor core was developed based on the Madcap core from the Daredevil series. The Daredevils were great because they were low RG but medium differential, and there aren't a lot of balls in that zone. Usually you have the tour type balls like the IQ Tour that are low RG low diff, or you have your typical strong symmetrics that are low RG high diff, but this 040-ish diff zone gets skipped too often. Like was shown with the Daredevils and now with balls like the Duo and Global's Exponent, that gives you a nice blend between the control of an IQ but the traction and pop of something like a Zen or Zen Gold label. Now 046 is nearing the typical 052-ish zone of stronger symmetrics, but it knocks the flare down just enough to keep it a little bit more stable and less dynamic, theoretically. That being said, it's surprisingly clean and sharp considering both that and this cover. Baby Exotic Gem is the easiest way to describe it. It's rolly, not quite as chuggy as the Exotic, a little weaker and a bit cleaner and sharper. It's even pretty defined for Angel with her typical 1000 React to Scuff surface prep, but that works out great for her. She loves the rolly, somewhat tumbly stuff like this that gently slows down, but sometimes they can be too much chug and end up being flat. This one for her is a nice compromise between that stronger rolling feel while giving her more shape than a ball like this typically gives her. For me, this shape doesn't typically work out. As I continue to get better, it's actually helping me a lot with mid-lane stability, but the more directional shape off the end of the pattern still doesn't quite fit yet. I did my typical surface prep of down to 1000 and back up with a light amount of Storm Step 2 compound, and I'm also surprised at how clean and sharp this ball is for being symmetric and having this cover. Microtrax is essentially Storm's NRG cover, and going years back, I always said I wish Roto would use it in Pearl and Hybrid form because of overseas balls like the Super Idol and Halo Burn that really split that traction and shape gap perfectly. And now that we've seen the hybrid version on stuff like the RSTX1, and I've gotten the Pearl version on the Exotic and now the Duo, my journey towards the hipster side is now complete. treat, James also got a duo and we filmed for it, but by the time we got around to that, more balls had come out and I was too busy with those to ever fit in a video featuring him, or at least if I did manage to get one out there, I don't remember, so either way, here you go. James is in similar territory with this ball as I am. It's just a little too clean and sharp for how much it hooks, and by the time you add enough surface to blend it out, then it gets too early to use much. His surface prep is 1,000, 3,000 plus about 10 games of lane shine by the time we film this. The roll of the ball is amazing and extremely versatile, it's just a little too over-under for him. His notes on it were that it's one of those balls that if you match up with it, it's insane, but if you don't, it's still good. There's just usually better options out there. Angel, it's an 8. It ended up just a bit too strong for regular use. Remember, we're on a challenge pattern here with extra volume and length versus a house pattern. So on something like this, it's great. On a league pattern, just a little too much traction and shape to get it much past the first game for her. However, the shape fits her game perfectly. There's lots of forgiveness and versatility when she can use it. Definitely a great example of what James mentioned about matching up with it. For me, it's a 7. I still have a similar opinion of it as from the review. I think it's a very Zen-esque ball that's actually more versatile from left to right, but like the Zen, it just didn't end up fitting that well for me because of it being directional. I think you can see that it kept going back and forth between too long and too sharp for me, and it's continued to do that. More surface helped, but now that I've gotten locked in with the Summit, it gives me a duo at 2000 look, but at lane shine, so it's not chewing up the oil so fast, plus the lane shine is a more stable surface, it's not going to change much from that. If you're in a similar zone where you like the duo but it just isn't quite controllable or stable enough, the Summit might be the answer, but moving on. For James, it's a 6. He's in the same place I am, but his window of usability is even smaller given that he's a free agent and has many more options to choose from. I think he did shoot a 300 with it, so it's not like it's bad or was a total loss, it's just very conditional for him. He's got other balls that react similarly, but that are a little more controllable or stable without having to add a bunch of surface. I was a little higher on this ball in the review than the reality ended up being for at least James and I, but the biggest point is really that it's more bowler to ball matchup dependent than I expected, and I think between the three of us we illustrate this concept perfectly. You can see the upside watching Angel and the in-between from James and I. People are more perceptive than they give themselves credit for no matter what their skill and experience level, so I'm going to say to put the bowling math aside for this one, turn the volume off, go back and watch it again. If it fits your eye or you like it, it's probably going to be a good matchup for you. If it looks iffy or you feel torn, probably something else better out there for you. I have a review up for the duo covering it from several different angles, plus a handful of comparison videos if you want to check those out. Down in the description is a link to Bowler's Mart that will get one ordered for you. Also, of course, don't forget my code Rosdahl10 to get 10% off your order at checkout at CoolWick. Thanks for watching, and may the strikes be with you.